We selected this site because it's so easy for tourists and Florida residents to get here by automobile.
Imagination, imagination. If you had wings, had wings, had wings.
I am not chicken. I will not talk. I will not talk.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. Thank you for tuning in once again. I am Lou Mongello, coming to you this and every week, bringing you the very best ways to enjoy and enhance your Walt Disney World vacation experience. This is show number 67 for the week of May 18th, 2008. This week's show is going to be just a little bit different from my normal show, as I just returned from Walt Disney World, where I was visiting to cover the new Toy Story Midway Mania attraction press event. So this show is going to be focused on the new e-ticket attraction that's going to be opening at Disney's Hollywood Studios later on this month. There will be no news, rumors, or emails or other segments this week, but I promise to bring those back to you again next week. I'll first take a look at the event and attraction with Glenn Whelan as we discuss everything from the new Pixar Studios area of the park to the incredibly detailed queue and interactive ride experience. It's a pretty much spoiler-free review and preview of what guests can look forward to enjoying for many years to come. I also met with TC and Kerri, the two Walt Disney World Ambassadors, as they share their thoughts on Disney's newest attraction. Meg Crofton, president of the Walt Disney World Resort, also spoke about what's happening not just at the studios, but around the resort, and I'm going to share that audio with you as well. And I had the opportunity to interview a number of Imagineers who also worked on the attraction, including senior show producer Chrissie Allen, senior concept writer Kevin Rafferty, senior show producer Laurie Coltrin, and vice president of Disney's Hollywood Studios, Rilous. I'll share that audio with their thoughts on the attraction, as well as those of authors Simon and Sharon Veness from A Brit's Guide to Walt Disney World after experiencing the attraction for the first time. I'll also have an announcement about a new project I've been working on for some time now, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show.
Right in my pocket.
The recent buzz when talking about Walt Disney World is all about toys, and more specifically, it's all about Toy Story Mania. It's an attraction that's about to open over in Disney's Hollywood Studios in just a few weeks. And this past week, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be invited to a media sneak preview for the new attraction over at Hollywood Studios this past May 14th. But what I wanted to do was not just talk about my experience and what I saw that day and the attraction itself, but I wanted to bring on somebody else that also had a chance to see the attraction during some of the recent cast member and annual pass holder previews. He is friend of the show, Glenn Whelan. And Glenn, I want to welcome you back.
Thanks, Lou. It's great to be here.
Yeah, like I said, I want to talk just a little bit about my experience because there was more to it than just riding Toy Story Mania. And then I thought maybe you and I can talk about our feelings about the attraction and the queue and the whole new area that's opened up in that section of the studios.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
So like I said, Wednesday was the media event day. I checked in around noontime. And in addition to getting my media kit and some other goodies, one of the real great things for me that day was my chance to meet and briefly speak with Disney's first chief magic official, Justin Miccioni, who happened to be there. That was one of his very first duties in that role, and I just had a couple of minutes to talk to him, but clearly, as I determined from when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, he was the right choice. He was excited, he was happy, he was very much into it, and you can really see that he loves what he's doing so far.
That is so cool.
One of the coolest things, though, that happened as I was going through the kit was Justin was giving out what Disney called a Dream Pass, and it allowed me and everybody else who got one to be a part of the Year of a Million Dreams celebration and make a little magic of our own. The pass, which was very well themed, was like a big sort of golden ticket, allowed us to give it to one family of up to 4 people of our choosing anytime in the parks to allow them to ride the attraction in the afternoon because it was closed to guests, and like I said, sort of make a little bit of magic. I found a family right outside of Playhouse Disney that clearly needed a little bit of magic. The son was just about to hit that wall. Mom had lost her voice. I'm going to play that, a little bit of audio that I took when I gave it to him on the show. I actually saw them again later on in the trip when I was over in the Magic Kingdom. They loved the attraction, and it was something that was really neat because it did exactly what Disney hoped it would do, which is really sort of enhance their vacation. And she told me, she says, you helped make a memory for us that we wouldn't have had otherwise, and it really helped turn around a day that was starting to go downhill as the sun started, like they said, to hit the wall. And if you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So before we were able to ride the attraction, we gathered in the Studios Plaza in front of the Sorcerer Mickey hat, and they had a sort of abbreviated version of Block Party Bash there, which was wonderful. They had all kinds of floats and Toy Story characters, acrobats on trampolines that were just amazing. And it was really cool, too, because there was a lot of guest participation. They brought children in from the audience to join them. They danced things like the Macarena and the Hokey Pokey and other dances that I'm just not too familiar with and would never do myself. And a real treat was that Meg Crofton, who's the president of the Walt Disney World Resort, came out. She gave a brief speech about the attraction and some of the other exciting things that are happening not only at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but around Walt Disney World in general. I'm going to play some audio from that as well so you can hear directly from Meg. But the real highlight of the day was when we headed over to Toy Story Mania. And Glenn, this is when I want you to kind of join in with me because you had a chance to ride when? During the cast member or annual pass holder previews?
It was during the cast member ride. Was with a friend over there, and she happened to be a cast member, and she said, "Hey, let's get on over there." So we gave it a try, and I was so excited. Yeah,
the attraction officially will not open to guests until May 31st, so begin to plan accordingly. But they did have some cast member, they had some annual pass holder previews. There also have been intermittent soft openings. They are unannounced openings, maybe for a couple of hours in the morning, a couple of hours in the afternoon, where guests will be allowed to come and ride the attraction using the standby line without Fast Pass. Again, these are unannounced, so don't necessarily plan to go to the studios before the 31st and think that you'll be guaranteed a ride on Toy Story Mania. But Glenn, before we talk about the attraction itself, I want to talk about the entire area of the studios because the landscape has changed. It's not Pixar Place, it's really Pixar Studios, as evidenced by the large black sign that hangs over the street that now houses Toy Story Mania. And You'll see as soon as you start walking in, that theming begins and that storytelling starts to take place right away.
Absolutely, the theming for the whole Pixar Studios area right into the queue right away brings you down from who you are into becoming a toy. You become the size of a toy that would be in Andy's playroom.
Exactly, and even before you get to the entrance to the attraction, you see the brick facades of the building, and if you've ever seen the Pixar Studios, it was actually modeled after the brick pattern that Steve Jobs wanted for the Pixar headquarters out in California. But you're also going to see the Toy Story theme. You're going to see the pieces from things like the games like Scrabble and the Little Barrel of Monkeys, Army Men, Tinker Toys, some of the other games. Actually, the entire Fast Pass area is made up of Tinker Toys and blocks. And like you said, you've got that feeling that you've been sort of shrunk down to toy size.
Right. Each one of those Fast Pass machines is a different look. Some of them are built with Tinker Toys and Legos, etc. It was really cool. And across the street on that Pixar building, the signage for that building is actually a large Scrabble board.
Exactly. And speaking of the building across the way, one thing we should mention, too, is it wasn't open as yet. It was still walled off, but you'll see a sign for the Studio Cafe and the Camera Department. Now, the Camera Department is going to be a store that's built across the street, but the Studio Cafe is going to be a new dining establishment. So, in addition to the new attraction and the new store, we're also getting a new, what I assume to be counter service restaurant right in Pixar Studios. But clearly, the theming and the story begins as you enter the queue of Toy Story Mania. We should qualify this segment too right off the bat by saying we're going to try and really be as spoiler-free as possible. We're not going to talk about some things that are going to ruin the experience for you, but maybe just talk about some generalities and some things maybe to look for. And the queue, Glenn, obviously, there's a lot to see there.
Absolutely. It's such a treat. I mean, everything you go inside and you are, I don't know if you're underneath Andy's bed or in his toy chest. I'm not actually sure, but you are just surrounded by all these toys and gizmos from anything we've had when we were growing up.
Exactly. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was thinking there's Viewmaster reels. Appropriately, there a Peter Pan Viewmaster and a Disneyland Viewmaster reels just sitting there, and they're 4 feet across. It's really great.
Yeah, there are so many great games from, Glenn, you and I are about the same age, from our childhood, which is wonderful because, as you'll see even later on in the attraction itself, it really marries that nostalgic aspect for adults and that whimsical feeling for younger kids. That's going to carry through where those classic Midway games that we experienced as kids are married to the high-tech world that kids today are looking forward to. But I want to ask you a quick question. I think I know the answer based on what you said. Clearly there is a story that's being told here. Did you get the sense of that story as you walked into the queue, or is it something that you knew and were looking for?
Well, no, I wasn't familiar with what the story was going to be, and I found it handled a bit differently than their normal story ideas. Normally you had a chronological story being told. This one didn't seem to tell a chronological story. Rather, I felt like I was the story in this case. Upon entering, I found that I was shrunk down to the size of a toy. I was challenged by Mr. Potato Head and then thrust into a gaming environment. And as we saw in the movies, the Toy Story movies, the toys love to play games. And we were immersed in that. So my experience told a story, playing around in this toy environment.
And that's exactly, I'm sure people from Disney will be happy because that's exactly the story they wanted to tell, was that you are immersed in this environment that the games and the toys in Andy's room created. When he supposedly went away and he just received this new Midway Games playset for his birthday, the toys kind of opened up the box, took out everything, and set up their own little game booths and carnival trams and everything else so that they could play. When you walk through that archway into the queue, you are shrunk down, and you get that immediate sense whether you go in the standby or the fast pass line based on the size of everything in there. And you made reference to some of those things. And the thing that I love about it is that all the games in the queue are simple. They're cards, they're Viewmasters, it's Chutes and Ladders, it's Candyland, it's the Balsa Wood Plane.
Balsa Wood Plane,
exactly.
Right.
The things that we played with as kids.
Right.
And some kids today, I hate to think so, might not know or have ever played Chutes and Ladders or some of these other games. So it might be a nice introduction almost to playing with a Tinker toy, maybe instead of playing with the PSP.
Yeah, and even for those young people, I think these things would be familiar if they're also familiar with those Toy Story movies. I mean, they drop in Andy's drawings that he uses in that movie, in the movies, to his drawings of the bank, his drawings of Woody. They're also available on the walls, as if there's also like Andy's drawings of a car that he's done.
Exactly. And there's crayons, and there's dominoes, and there's dice. Again, all going back to these simple games. And the beauty of the queue for me, and maybe it's just, the high geek quotient, is that there's so much to see from the little log cabin and everything else, that you need to almost go through the queue again and again to enjoy it and experience and find those little hidden gems. And I'll say, as a whole, I think it's probably one of the very best queues on property, right up there along with Expedition Everest and Tower of Terror.
I totally agree with you.
And even more so because it's something that kids and adults are going to be able to enjoy, and we'll touch on that more as we get to the attraction itself. But you also mentioned really one of the highlights of the queue, and that's Mr. Potato Head. And what an amazing, the videos don't do it justice when you get up to him, and he's 5 feet tall, and he's very fluid, and he's very engaging. He's not just talking at you, he's speaking with you. And he does
interacting with you. Yeah.
Absolutely, and does things that other animatronics have never done before. I was very, very, very impressed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he addressed me by my shirt. I was wearing a blue and white striped shirt, and he mentioned the blue and white striped shirt. So I was really impressed by that.
And that's the beauty of it. It sort of marries that Turtle Talk with Crush interactivity with Mr. Potato Head being able to see you in the queue with the animatronics and with the use of Don Rickles' real voice with some pre-recorded, with so many pre-recorded sayings that they're able to put together. It's really spectacular how they were able to pull that off.
Right.
So
it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of those queues where I say, like Everest all the time, you want to go through the standby line because you want to see it. I mean, that's worth going to see in and of itself. And I think will really make the time fly by. Soarin' has something like that. They've got the interactive games, but certainly nothing up to this level at all.
I agree.
So you move past there, you walk up some stairs in what looks like a carnival tent, and you get to a second, obviously much smaller queue, and that's the boarding area before you get on the attraction. And it's important to note that as well because there's more great theming here, and there's so much more to see here, and there's board games and books. And, for me as a kid, I saw this giant-sized, I don't know if you had them as a kid, Glenn, the little golden books.
Yeah, sure. The little puppy that did type books.
Exactly. So I know, the geek factor and rewritability factor goes up, again, because there's so much to try and take in. And I found myself laughing because I was trying to walk and take pictures and stop and read and do all these things and not annoy the people who were behind me. Right. Because I was mesmerized by everything. And it was very bright and it was very colorful, and you want to feel like you're being a kid again. This is the attraction to ride.
Yeah, and there were some references to early Pixar offering of a tin toy was mentioned in there too. Exactly.
And again, the classic games, Mousetrap and Chutes and Ladders and Ants in the Pants. I mean, kids are going, Ants in the Pants. But yeah, and there's pay close attention to some of the books that are stacked up and painted everywhere else around. There are some classic book references as well as some references to, like you said, some of the Pixar people and some of the Pixar films and Pixar shorts. So we finally get to the attraction, and we should talk a little bit about the vehicles themselves because they are very unique and unlike anything that you've seen on any other attraction. Here you have 2x2 seating, but each car fits 4 people. So there's 2x2, but you sit back to back in a vehicle. And it looks like the vehicles are kind of on a sort of a almost looks like a figure 8. So there's kind of 2 vehicles on these mechanisms.
Right.
But they are unique not just because of the seating arrangements, but because they're going to allow all the riders on each side of the car to see different scenes throughout the attraction, possibly even play different games depending on what goes on and what they do. And again, we're talking about that rewritability factor. It's unique and it's fun, and I really like these vehicles.
Yeah, they resemble a Midway booth already. I mean, as you're approaching it, I'm looking at it, and it's designed to look like you're about to sit inside of a Midway booth, which is puts you right in with the tone of the games that are to come.
Exactly, and each vehicle is equipped with this little sort of pop gun. It almost looks like a little cannon with a ball and a string on the end that you would pull in order to shoot whatever it is in the attraction that you're going to shoot. And if you've ever played Pirates of the Caribbean, the Buccaneers Gold Quest in Disney Quest, it's akin to that same type of thing. Definitely improved as far as ease of use. Little kids I saw using it, adults using it, older people using it with no problem. And not what I was expecting, but a lot of fun to play.
Right.
And I will give you, here's my one bit of sage advice, having written it a number of times. If you're a righty, try and sit on the right-hand side, because if you, I sat on the left-hand side with someone who was a lefty, and we were knocking elbows the entire time. So, and that's the only reason why my score was as low as it was.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, of course. Of course.
But so
I would actually recommend alternating hands as you go from game to game, because by that last section, your arm is really in pain.
Yeah. Really start working out now before you ride Toy Story Mania, because you're going to need the exercise. But the attraction itself, again, tells that story. And it's not just one scene that you go through. You go through multiple scenes and multiple rooms, and there's, again, so much to see even beyond just what you see on the screens, but there's oversized toys here and so much as your vehicle is moving through, again, that I found myself trying to enjoy and have fun and still try and catch everything there was to see.
Right, absolutely. The toys are all cheering you on as you go around. You have Rex giving advice as to what you should do, as if he was right over your shoulder. Because once again, you are a toy during this, and he is there because he's a friendly toy helping you out.
And I'll just avoid the easy jokes about being shrunk down to Lou size or something like that. I'm sure will come from this. But obviously, part of the attraction's appeal is that is it a 3D and, dare I say, 4D attraction. And again, I won't spoil why, but there are definitely some physical effects that will accompany and enhance the experience. And they are different, and they are fun, and they are not scary like to little kids, as sometimes you might get in things like Tough to Be a Bug. They're a lot of fun and not distracting. But what I was very curious to see, and Glenn, you tell me your opinions first before I tell you what I think, was that this really is the first 3D attraction. You know, we have 3D films and shows in the different parks, but this is the first one where you are moving and you're interacting. How did you find, using the 3D glasses and the 3D experience?
I think they have it down to such a science now that I was not even aware that it's 3D. I was totally it totally worked 100%. I never was thinking for a moment I'm looking at a flat screen. I was immersed in it right away.
Absolutely. You forget the fact that you're wearing the 3D glasses. You certainly didn't get any of that. Sometimes people get discomfort or disorientation or other issues, especially people maybe that wear contact or have some visual issues. And I talked to a number of people after they came off, and I asked them specifically, did you feel dizzy? Did you feel disoriented? And everybody said, I didn't even remember that I was wearing 3D glasses. One, because I was having so much fun. And two, because the effects and the level of reality was so high, it was so stunning and so engaging that you just forget that it's being enhanced by the glasses.
Yes, absolutely.
So I really applaud them. And when I play some of the interviews that I took with some of the Imagineers, they'll talk to you about how the 3D element was very important, how they had to wear 3D glasses during many phases of the design and construction of the attraction as well. So it clearly paid off. And I think people who may have had issues in the past probably won't have them here. But time will tell. I'll be very curious to see. But as I said, there are a number of different games. It's not just you going from screen to screen playing the same game. You're really playing 5 games, but more importantly, you also get an introductory practice round, which I think was a great idea. And I know that I did, and my young kids wrote it. I spoke to other kids that wrote it, as well as adults. They picked it up instantaneously as soon as you get to that first play area.
Yeah, they did a great job of, your practice game is throwing pies, and right away you're trying out your gun mechanism, and you find out how it works pretty quickly, and after 25 seconds they say, okay, let's move on.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other games are timed. They're 30 seconds each, and you get a score for each of the different sections that you go through, and then at the end of the attraction, your score is going to be totaled up, and you're going to get a sort of a virtual prize based on your experience. And again, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but all the different game screens are tied into the characters and the theming. So you're not just always shooting darts. You're doing things like throwing pies, or Ham and Eggs have a booth where you're going to launch plastic eggs at barnyard targets, and then Bo Peep has a Balloon Pop where you actually launch these virtual darts. Again, this is where one of the 4D experiences I remember came out. There's the Green Army Men shooting camp where you have to break plates with baseballs. Buzz Lightyear is in the next And then in the grand finale, you sort of go through Woody's Rootin' Tootin' Shootin' Gallery. And that section really was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because actually when you got to that 30-second point where you're used to finishing, the ride starts to move again. It's for the first time you're actually shooting as you're moving through the ride.
Exactly. And it's great because they are games of skill, and that's going to definitely appeal to that re-rideability factor, but they're not too challenging. You know, little kids are always going to be able to hit targets, score points, make things happen. So while they may not get, 300,000, they're going to have a lot of fun by themselves with the person that they're sitting next to.
Right.
There's so many different levels that have appeal to this attraction, and I think that's what really sort of sets it apart.
And you can never give up, because I was winning all the way through. I was riding with Laurie, and I was winning everywhere. And in the last board, she surpassed me, and I...
But see, you just made the perfect point, because that was the fun of it. You were not only playing by yourself, but you were playing against the person sitting next to you, and then you're also playing against the high scores that you see. And this I thought was just a great, brilliant piece that Disney put at the end. You'll be able to see your own score and your accuracy level. So now there's two different things to compete with, as well as what the person next to you got and the monthly and daily high scores. And I think when I was there, the high score at the time was 240,000 or so. I'm sure very quickly after the attraction opens, that's going to jump up much, much higher than that.
Right. It's going to be up to $1 million pretty quickly.
Exactly. But the thing that I really liked about it too, and again, people talked about this being sort of a Buzz Lightyear on steroids. I think it's a very poor comparison, because one thing that this has too with the 3D element is that you actually see not only the objects that you're shooting, but you're seeing that the target's getting hit, so you can see the trajectory, and that adds a great, that's something that you don't get to see, obviously, in something like Buzz Lightyear or other shooting games like that.
Yes, I agree. I don't know how much time we spend on Buzz Lightyear trying to figure out which red light is yours.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about that in this.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, I was surprised about was in between the scenes, that movement, that winding, going through the track in the rooms was really a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of fast and it whips you around. I mean, it's not anything that you have to... I mean, if you do have motion issues or if you're pregnant or have back problems, there is a warning at the front of the attraction. But it was a lot of fun. And again, I found myself, Glenn, laughing through the entire attraction.
I agree. I did the same thing. And while you are spinning around, you're noticing, just even for that brief moment, that they did not give up on theming in there as well. Even though you're in a dark area, you're still filled with... the walls are made up of puzzle pieces and Tinker Toys, etc. It still keeps that... It makes it look like this was a theme ride that was designed by Woody and Buzz and all his friends.
Exactly. And you know what? Your score doesn't matter, because you're going to be having so much fun because you've got the music in the background. Obviously, you've got A Friend in Me and other songs playing in the background to really accentuate what you're experiencing. So it's an audio and visual thing going. It's very much a multi-sensory experience, and
the songs are done in a calliope sound. So once again, it brings that midway right into your lap.
Absolutely, and it's fun and it's campy in the way that it's meant to be. We talk about things like the re-rideability factor. How many times can you see the attraction before you're like, you know what, I've seen it, I've done it. Sometimes you've seen a show, you're like, well, I don't need to see it every time. Here, I think it's so very high, because there's different ways to enjoy it, whether it be finding new targets or what your high score is, your accuracy level, things that you might look for in the attraction between the different rounds in the queue, the Easter eggs that the Imagineers hinted to that will cause the scenes to change, and your experience can be very, very different each and every time you ride.
Right.
And, Mr. Potato Head in the queue says it perfectly. It really is a ride that's a game and a game that's a ride. And I think that's going to be the appeal to both adults and kids alike. And I should mention, too, being a person of vertical challenged height, that there are no age or height restrictions. So my wife was able to go on with my kids, who are 2 and 4 respectively, and they had a blast. I mean, my son, was like looking forward to going. He kept on talking about riding Buzz and Woody all day. So I think the attraction, from my perspective, clearly is a home run. It's an E-ticket to me. I don't think it's a D-ticket. I think it changes the landscape of Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
I definitely think it is a reason to go and visit if you haven't before. And I know that's saying a lot, but as somebody that goes a lot, I now find myself wanting to go back to the studios to ride this again and again and again.
I agree. When I heard that they were building this, I have to admit I wasn't too excited. I was excited that there was going to be a new ride versus just another show or something like that. So the fact that there was a moving attraction, that was exciting to me. But I really wasn't too pumped up about it. And as soon as I got on it, I was like, okay, this is the only thing I need to do for the next 10 visits to the studios. I need to ride this.
Well, then tell me, what do you think the attraction means to not just Disney's Hollywood Studios, but maybe to Walt Disney World as a whole?
I think the fact that they've established a more firm, interactive dark ride, it sort of bridges the earliest rides of the Disney parks, the Snow White, the Peter Pan, and it bridges it with the future that is coming at us no matter what we do. It merges them very well. It marries them nicely, and I'm glad to have it here.
Yeah, I think for the studios, it clearly infuses new life, not into just, where they put it was the ideal place in that back portion of the studios. Right. But again, I love the studios, but if you're not a show person and maybe not a thrill ride person, you say, well, you know what? Maybe the studios really is a half-day park, or there's not stuff for my kids to ride. That goes away now, because now you've got this multi-generational ride that you can go on 2, 3, 4 times a day if you want, while you're in between seeing shows and going to lunch and having dinner. Maybe for those people who said Hollywood Studios potential half-day park, that goes away now. This makes it a full-day park.
Yeah, I agree. And what else is going to happen in that Pixar Studio area? There's still some space down there that they can add some more stuff. The Meet the Toys attraction across the street is called. Once again, the Scrabble board says "You've got a friend in me" in Scrabble letters on it. So you're gonna be able to meet the Toy Story toys over there as well. There's gonna be a lot of things to bring people down that street.
And you obviously you like the interactive element of this attraction as opposed to just a passive experience when you get in a vehicle and ride through or see a show, obviously. Is this the hope of yours that hopefully future attractions continue this interactivity?
Well, absolutely. It's like I was saying, it's the future's coming at us whether we do it, whether we want it or not. So this is, children today are growing up on video games versus we were talking about how Candyland is in the queue, and Chutes and Ladders. Those are the games you and I grew up on. So we're just merging these two worlds together, and they physically merge those two worlds together on this attraction.
I agree. I think this ride will hopefully become an instant classic because of that, because of how it appeals to kids and adults. And you've got the classic dark ride, and you've got a story being told, and the interactivity. And in the future, too, because of the technology that's being used, this attraction could be updated and upgraded probably very easily as the 3D games change or the ride vehicle changes, whatnot, because of the way the building was constructed.
Right.
But I have a feeling that, I took a picture when I was there of something, and I posted it on my blog of something that I said, you're probably not going to see for a very, very, very long time, and that was the standby line being 5 minutes. Because this is going to be it. This is the gatebuster attraction for Disney Hollywood Studios. And I was really, really, I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, but I was giddy at how much I enjoyed it. And that's the reaction I was hoping that I was going to have.
I totally agree. If there's one thing I would warn people about, is it's unlike Buzz, it's not an omni-mover. So the loading time does seem, it might not be the most efficient, but the vehicles only accommodate 4 people. So the lines can be a bit long, but But don't go in the single rider line to avoid that, because you really need to go through that queue, and you really need to visit with Mr. Potato Head and check out the things that are in the queue all over the place.
Absolutely, and I think despite however long the lines might be, you're going to enjoy your time spent in the queue, much the same way I enjoy going through Everest and realizing the story that's being told. And here it's just, you don't have to worry about figuring out the story, just enjoy the audio-visual elements that are around you.
Right.
So I really applaud Disney and the Imagineers. And I actually had a chance to speak to some of the Imagineers that worked on the attractions, a number of senior show designers. I also got a chance to speak to the new vice president of Disney's Hollywood Studios, get their reactions and hear them talk a little bit about it, which was really a treat for me, and I think you guys are going to enjoy. I, of course, want to say thank you to Disney for inviting me, and to all the Imagineers who worked on the attraction and who took the time to speak with me. Again, Glenn, I think the consensus clearly is that this is the new e-ticket attraction, and I'm really, really happy to see it at the studios, and what this might mean the future holds for us as guests.
Absolutely. The toys are back in town.
Absolutely. Glenn Whelan, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Lou, I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
So I'm here at Disney's Hollywood Studios with TC and Kerri, the two Walt Disney World Ambassadors, as part of today's Toy Story Mania media event. I want to welcome you both to the WDW Radio Show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice to hear from everyone.
Kerri, TC, it's nice to see you again. Kerri, it's nice to finally get a chance to meet you. So obviously we're here for the opening of Toy Story Mania. You guys have had a chance to ride. I have not. Give me your impressions.
It is an absolutely amazing attraction. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be shrunk down to the size of a toy, here's your opportunity. You've got 5 minutes, and it is so much fun. I think anybody who comes, no matter how old they are, how young they are going to find something to love about this attraction.
It's absolutely the most high energy, throw you around kind of interactive game where you will compete with the partner sitting next to you. And I walked away with 9,000 points thinking that I was, a Toy Story Mania top, player here. And looking at their scores of 100,000, our guests know exactly what to do. It's just an incredible amount of energy with interaction of the game. You wear 3D glasses, so you're really immersed into this giant arcade video game, and like TC said, it's like you've been shrunk down to the size of a toy.
And the great thing too is it seems like you'll be able to ride it over and over again, not only because it's so different, but because now you can compete against your friends or your family or whoever's got that high score on the leaderboard.
And it gets challenging. Each round you'll go through one where you'll kind of, virtually throw like a balloon toss or a ring toss. And then the next game you'll go to will get a little bit harder, where you have to move a little faster and the targets are moving faster. So at the end of this game, you have laughed and you are exhausted because it is just the most fun.
I am so looking forward to seeing people's faces as they come out of the ride, because that's when you hear the exclamation points. You hear, wow, that was amazing, or I beat you, I challenge you, let's do it again. It's one of those great attractions that every time you go on it, it will be a little bit different. And I think that's just so exciting for our guests. They know they're coming back for a custom experience that they can get better and better at.
And the fact that it's great for adults and kids, even though we'll all be embarrassed when the little 12-year-old kid comes out with a higher score than us. But it's, again, you can ride over and over. It's something that's family-friendly and very engaging for everybody as well.
The 12-year-olds definitely will be walking out with the top score. We can probably guarantee that. And it's fun to see families friendly, competing in a friendly way and bringing the families together, that, mom and dad and the little children or whoever's in that car, you just build a bond. You really do. It might sound a little cliche or a little corny, but you really build a bond because you're on this ride attraction together. And like I said, usually it is the little ones walking out with a high score of the day.
I think it just really goes back to Walt's vision. He thought of Disneyland as a place where daddies and mommies and daughters and sons could all have fun. Well, here we are Many years later, 2008, and we're still following that vision. Toy Story Mania is a perfect example of that your grandparents down to the smallest children are going to be able to have a great time.
I look forward to getting a couple of high fives from my kids as well. So. Kerri and TC, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you through the rest of the day, and hopefully I'll see you guys on Toy Story Mania.
Look forward to it. Good luck.
Can't wait to see you all out here. Thanks.
You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm
You guys
bed.
look like you need a little bit of extra magic today in your day. Yes. You lost your voice, and your son looks like what's his name? Trevor. You need a little magic today, a little something special?
Sure, yeah.
Well, as part of the Year of a Million Dreams, I have the opportunity to make a little magic of our own, thanks to the Walt Disney Company. I'm here for the media event for Toy Story Mania, and they've given me what they call a Dream Pass. And this will allow you and your family a chance to ride Toy Story Mania today before it opens to the public.
Oh, great.
So, Trevor, I will guarantee you, I just stepped off this ride. You are going to turn that frown upside down, my friend. Do you like Buzz and Woody and Toy Story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, how old are you?
2.
2? I love your face. Is that a tiger?
Yeah.
Give me a roar. Oh, that's good. Who's this guy on here? Do you know who that is?
Who's this one?
I saw the Lion King.
You saw the Lion King
Yeah, with Simba.
with Simba,
Who's this, Mr. Who?
Mr. Potato Head.
Mr. Potato Head. Well, you can take that and you can go right down here to Pixar Place, and you can ride Toy Story Mania today, like I said, before it opens to the public.
That's awesome. Thank you. What do you say?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Where are you guys from?
Pennsylvania.
What part?
Taylor.
Okay, I went to Villanova.
Oh, okay.
So good. Well, I hope that helps. I hope you guys have a great day.
We're having a great time, right? Trevor's going to be his birthday on May 22nd. He'll be 3. And we came down to just show him all about Mickey Mouse, so he's having a ball.
That's a great place to spend your birthday, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And look.
Oh, that's the Little Mermaid.
See? Yeah.
You tell Mommy and Daddy I want to spend every birthday down here.
Really?
I do.
I know, it's awesome. You turn into a little kid.
Absolutely. Well, guys, have a great time. I hope you enjoy the attraction. You're very welcome. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Walt Disney World Resort, Meg Crofton.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our invited media, our guests, wind-up toys, space rangers, and potato heads who have joined us for this historic day. We are proud to unveil a whole new way for guests to experience the excitement of our Year of a Million Dreams celebration. Toy Story Mania offers guests of all ages a chance to feel what it's like to be shrunk to the size of a toy and interact with some of their favorite characters from one of the best Disney Pixar stories ever told. What I love about this attraction is the way it merges classic Disney storytelling with an interactive ride game system that's unlike anything we've done before. To borrow a line from Mr. Potato Head, it's a ride that's a game, and a game that's a ride. Well, whatever you call it, Toy Story Mania immerses guests in a world of 3D animation and 4D special effects that's fun for the entire family. We've play-tested this attraction in recent weeks, and we've found that with the chance to improve their scores during every game, along with some hidden surprises in every scene, guests are ready to get right back on as soon as they finish this ride. Toy Story Mania joins an impressive lineup of new experiences here at Disney Hollywood Studios this summer. This includes the Black Party Bash Parade, High School Musical Show, Playhouse Disney Live Show, and a new Narnia experience, which premieres this Friday, when
I'm here with Chrissie Allen. She's a senior show producer and director from Walt Disney Imagineering. Chrissie, welcome to the WDW Radio Show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much. I just had my first occasion of what's going to be many to ride Toy Story Mania, and I have to tell you, once again, Disney Imagineering has raised the bar.
Oh, thank you so much. We love hearing from guests who tell us that. That's just the greatest.
Well, the attraction exceeded any expectations that I may have had, and really one of the things that impressed me most was that it really breaks new ground from a technology perspective, not just with the 3D animation and the ride vehicles, but the level of interactivity and the computing power, I'm sure, that must have gone into it.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we combined a lot of existing technologies, but we put them together for the first time in the way they're done on this ride. So, as you said, computing, there's over 150 computers that run this thing. I mean, it is an amazing technical feat, but it's really all in the support of the telling of the story. Obviously, you think about that when you're riding, but really what you're thinking about is how can I score more points?
Exactly, and it is all about story, and that was my next question, because I think so many guests kind of overlook that there's a story behind this. Can you tell us briefly what the story is? Because I think we get lost in just having fun.
Okay, sure. Well, you remember Andy from the Toy Story movies. Well, Andy got for his birthday the Toy Story Midway Games playset, and it came with 6 carnival booths, it came with little food carts, it came with carnival trams and spring action shooters and 3D glasses. So one night, he and the family go out to Pete's Planet for dinner, and the toys find the playset box. They set it up under the bed, and in order to finish off the Midway, they took all the toys out of Andy's box, and they kind of put them all around the Midway sets so that they could create their own little carnival world. And that's really the story you're going into. As you ride the vehicles, the first thing you do is you go through the box. You see the Toy Story Midway Games playset, you go through that portal, and that's where you enter the magical world.
It all makes sense when you say it, because we're standing in the queue and it's filled with games from our childhood. There's Candyland, there's Chutes and Ladders, there are the Viewmasters with Peter Pan and Disneyland. So it's brilliant how you're able to incorporate that. And that actually, you know, that's one thing that this attraction does too, is it brings things from our childhood, like the Midway games that we experienced at carnivals or the boardwalks, and combines it with this new technology.
Absolutely. You know, we took a cue from Toy Story, because once we decided to feature the Toy Story characters, we took the movie apart a frame at a time. And what you'll find is, in the queue and in the load-unload station, all of these games actually appear in the movie, including all the books on the shelves and all the toys. So it got us to talking while we were designing about our favorite games from childhood and so on. And when we talked to Pixar, they said the same thing. I mean, they were really inspired by the games they played as children. So we're really glad to bring them all back here in this wild attraction for everybody's memories and then their future generations' memories as well.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too. It appeals on so many levels, I think, to both kids and adults. Adults who are going to not only enjoy the attraction, but enjoy seeing these things. And the kids, because that level of technology that you've brought to it as well.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you noticed, but the games are designed for every level of ability. So we say it's from 3 to 103, and the fact of the matter is, when we design interactive rides, we bring the guests in from day one. So we've tested 3-year-olds and we've tested 80-year-olds all along the design process to ensure that it's so intuitive that the first time you sit down in the tram and you start to activate the spring action shooter, you know exactly what to do. And in addition to that, there's big targets that are easy for little kids to hit, smaller high-value targets a little more challenging, and then of course we have the Easter eggs and the nested targets that are for much more challenging to players who play games all the time.
And that's the first time I read it, just had this grin on my face. I was just enjoying the experience, and I see as time goes on, I'm going to have to start worrying about my score and how I'm going to compete with the 12-year-olds that are doing so much better.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of young game designers, and we've had to be competing with them all along, too. The more you play, the better you'll get.
Absolutely. Well, Chrissie Allen, thank you very much. The attraction is brilliant. I'm going to get back online right now.
Oh, thank you very much. Have a good time.
Thank you. I'm here with Kevin Rafferty. He is a senior concept writer and director from Walt Disney Imagineering. Kevin, welcome to the show and congratulations.
Hi, Lou. Thank you very much. We're very happy, very excited that this is open, and boy, it's just causing a lot of excitement.
Exactly, and it's an exciting day, not just because it's a new attraction, but it's one that really brings a whole new level of guest interactivity to the parks.
It really does. It raises the bar for an interactive ride game experience for the entire family. And what we did was we mixed the cast of characters from Toy Story with the traditional Midway games that you would see on any typical Midway. And we put them together to create the first ride-through Midway game experience. And every time a guest returns to experience the attraction, it's going to be a different experience for them.
Well, that's the thing that I seemed to really enjoy, was knowing that I would come back not just to compete for a better score and see what I may have missed, but know that it's going to be a different ride experience every time.
Right, it will be a different ride experience every time. You'll notice things differently each time you go through. The score is up to you. Of course, there's 3 ways of scoring. One is to get a numerical score. The second is to get an accuracy score. And the third is to see what kind of virtual plush animal you win at the end of the game sequence.
And I'm sure there's hidden treasures and little things to kind of Easter eggs to find in the attraction as well.
Oh yeah, there's lots of little hidden fun things that you can ride and experience the attraction and play the games many, many times, and you'll discover new things that we have hidden. And you will see that when you find these hidden objects, you'll get better scores. They could change the effect of the scene. In the Bo Peep balloon pop, for example, it may change the weather in that booth, depending on what you do. So there's lots of little hidden surprises.
And technology speaking, I mean, it really breaks new ground, not just because you have basically 5 or so different sort of games to play, but the ride system and the vehicles and the 3D technology is just spectacular.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, the technology behind the scenes. I mean, the games themselves look very simple, and you shrink to the size of a toy and you enter into the toy world. But behind the scenes, the technology that drives the whole thing is really mind-boggling, because imagine all our guests in there pulling on their spring action shooters and all the technology that is creating that experience for them real time, and they actually become part of the show. They're not just passive observers, they are the show themselves. They create what happens during that time. And the Mr. Potato Head figure, he's just a little guy. He's 5 feet 2, and we're shrunk to the size of a toy, but in reality, he is a giant in the world of audio animatronic figures. He is just stuffed with great new technology that allows him to remove his ear and snap it back on, and he's able to point, look at the guests that he is speaking to and interact with them and know a lot about them and answer any question, and he sings, and he's just a really fantastic character.
There's so much to take in just from the queue, above and beyond Mr. Potato Head, and then once you get into the attraction, it's amazing, and it's clear, like I said, you've raised the bar once again.
Thank you very much. It was so fun to work on, and here it is. It's almost open, and I'm looking around seeing all these smiling faces, and it just brings a lot of joy in many ways. And one of my favorite moments was when there was a grandmother, probably in her early 70s, and she was with an 8 or 9-year-old grandchild, and they were both having the time of their lives together, because we specifically designed the attraction so that the gameplay would be fun for whether you're really good, whether you're a gamer, or whether you're not a gamer at all. We found that people that don't play games are really enjoying the attraction. So one of the things we've been saying is, from expert to beginner, everyone's a winner.
And it's very simple to figure out from the second you sit down. There's nothing complicated about it, and you immediately get immersed in the whole experience.
That's right. It's very intuitive. Based on the Midway games, where you throw darts and pop balloons, you throw rings and ring things, and you throw baseballs and knock things over or break things. It's very intuitive, and once you get on board and you see that spring action shooter in front of you and you pull the string, you're just off and running,
Absolutely. Kevin Rafferty, thank you very much. Congratulations once again.
Thanks again, Lou. I appreciate it.
I'm pleased to be joined by Laurie Coltrin. She is a senior show producer and director from Walt Disney Imagineering. Laurie, congratulations and welcome to the WDW Radio Show.
Well, thank you for having me.
This is a very exciting day. I'm sure you must be just ecstatic to see so many smiling faces coming off your attraction.
Absolutely. This is what we work so hard for.
How long did it take? Tell me a little about the genesis of the attraction. How long did it take from that initial concept, that blue sky meeting, to today?
It's about 3 years. And we spent a lot of time working on getting the right concept and developing the ideas. And I've been working on it about 2 years, from the beginning of the early efforts all the way until today, when you see what you're seeing here.
And how did it really begin? Was it that we have this amazing new technology that we want to showcase, or is it a story we want to tell?
It was definitely the story. We wanted to feature the Toy Story characters, and also we had an idea to do another interactive type of game, similar to Buzz Lightyear, something along those lines, because we knew it was so popular. So it was a combination of looking into different stories that could work together with a fun game, and the toys and games just sounded like the right match.
Absolutely, and it definitely works. And it's funny you mentioned Buzz Lightyear, because when I had first heard about the attraction, that's what came to mind. But after riding it, it's an unfair comparison because you've just taken it to such a whole new level.
Yeah, it's totally a different level of interactivity. The idea that you can aim something, watch the projectiles come out of it on the screen, see a reaction right away of something breaking, and then feel the movement of air right up across your face. I mean, it's really technologically advanced in getting all of these components to talk to each other and be really seamless. So it looks so easy, but it's got so much complexity behind it.
And the 3D technology works so well. There's no disorientation, there's no anything. You feel as though you are watching the rings be tossed or the darts be tossed. It's true. I mean, I was blown away while still trying to get a good score.
Oh, that's great. And it's really funny because this is the first time we've ever worn 3D glasses inside of a ride here at Walt Disney World. And we had to wear the 3D glasses while we were painting and while we were designing the colors, because you're inside the room and you're wearing the glasses, and it does change the way that the colors look. So it was a fun idea to use the 3D glasses and the blacklight paint and the projections all in one attraction.
Yeah, and you lose sight of the fact that you're wearing anything from the moment you start to ride. We talk about the re-rideability factor, and certainly it's a new experience every time, but it almost seems as though you want to ride again and again because you know you're going to get better. You're going to learn the more times you ride the attraction.
Yeah, that's right. And there's all kinds of little secret things that you'll have to ride it many times to find. Sometimes you'll find it by accident, and you don't even know what it is you hit that made a special thing happen. So we really are happy that it's an attraction that can be ridden over and over again. It'll bring people back, and hopefully they'll discover all sorts of magical places to aim for.
All right, give me an Imagineering hint for a way to increase our score.
Smaller targets are worth more.
You say that with a grin on your face. Laurie Coltrin, thank you very much. Congratulations. The attraction is spectacular. I look forward to many, many years of riding it over and over again.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you ride it?
I did ride it.
What'd you think?
Spectacular. I came off speechless because I was smiling so much. That's how much I enjoyed it.
We agree with you that it is spectacular.
And we're here with Rilous Carter. He is the Vice President for Disney's Hollywood Studios. Today is an exciting day, not just for the company, but especially for you to have this attraction in your park. It must be incredible.
Yeah, and I'm like a kid in the candy store here. Not that we're standing in Candyland, but it's just so much fun. I mean, I get to be a kid, and I get paid to do it. That's wonderful, isn't it?
I think I tell this to everybody that I interview that you have the best job in the world, but you very well might be, especially today, because this brings such a new level of guest interactivity to Walt Disney World, something that we've never seen before, and it's been compared to Buzz Lightyear, but it's really an unfair comparison.
Right. And we've heard that too. Even we had some people ride it last weekend and said, wow, this exceeds Buzz Lightyear, and it's one of the best things that some of the guests that are returning have seen. And we had our annual pass holders in last weekend, so they're some of our best gauges on these things, because they are here, man. We had one guy who rode it 14 times last weekend. He couldn't believe it.
Well, I can see why. Having come off, I'm anxious to get through the interview so I can get back on again before the line gets long. And that's the appeal, I think, of this attraction, is that level of re-rideability, knowing that there's something new to explore, something new to discover, and to try and get a better score.
Right. And it's also different than the other attractions, because other attraction is just the attraction. Here you got a score. You have something to gauge. So when you go back the next time, you said, okay, I scored 150. Next time I want to get to 175. You want to look at what are those little things I can do now to improve my score. So really, it's almost you're competing against yourself in some cases.
As well as the people you're riding with, or your family, or those. I think it's brilliant that you have the monthly high score out there, because now you're going to try and beat that, for your personal self.
Right, yeah. I'm still wondering how some guy got, score that high, because I'm still hitting in the mid 150 range. So I'm working on it.
The thing that's wonderful about this, like I said, is the level of guest interactivity. I think it's something unlike that we've seen anywhere else. Do you think this is the start of a new trend that we're going to start seeing in attractions?
Well, I hope so. I think it's wonderful. We've done it here and also at Disneyland now, so we have two of those. So I think we'll gauge that, and I think WDI will make some decisions from that.
And that interactivity begins in the queue itself with Mr. Potato Head, continues on through the attraction.
And actually, it actually starts on Pixar Place. I mean, you look at Pixar Place, you start looking at the Green Army Men, you see the kite string, you see the Scrabble board. You're already into this attraction before you ever walk into the door. And as I was mentioning earlier, even just a sense of arrival, being in the queue line here, I think one of the things we've done is setting up these queue lines where they are interactive in themselves. So the guests, they get an experience just walking in the door.
I wasn't making friends outside as I was stopping to take pictures of every little detail I could possibly find.
And that's exactly what I mean. I mean, those are things that I think are going to resonate with people for a very, very, very long time.
Rilous Carter, thank you so much. Congratulations once again. This is like a new child for you, and like I said, a new toy.
Thank you. We just gave birth, and we're happy.
Thank you very much. So I've just come off my first of many, many rides, I'm sure, on Toy Story Midway Mania, and I'm here with Simon Veness. He is one of the authors of the Brit's Guide to Walt Disney World and Orlando. Simon, welcome.
Hi there. Hi, how you doing, Lou?
Good. It's great to see you again on obviously such a very exciting day. You just rode the attraction as well. Tell me your initial thoughts.
Well, I'm still a bit starry-eyed by it all. I mean, things happen so fast and there is so much in this ride. You come off feeling, what on earth was that? I mean, it's exciting, it's fun, it's vivid, it's incredibly colourful, and there is so much action involved in this. You're really left thinking, wow, what just happened?
And I came off, I don't even know how long the ride was because it felt like I was on there for a long time, trying to take everything and trying to see so much and still trying to get a good score.
That's right. I mean, you really do. You feel like you're completely immersed in this world of games and things going on that you can't really understand, but you know it's fun, so you're just going to keep shooting and see what happens.
And what do you think of the queue and just the level of interactivity that begins really as you start to step in from outside?
I think this is what we expect of Disney. I mean, I'm really pleased to see they've really gone for a very in-depth, colourful and engaging queue line. Everything here, there's so much to see and look at as you're walking around. There's the Mr. Potato Head character. There's lots of colourful icons and things to catch your attention and obviously keep you interested in what's coming up.
Now, I was really blown away by the attraction and just everything from the second I walked in. Do you think this is it? Do you think this is the new e-ticket attraction that we've been waiting for?
I think certainly as far as this park is concerned, I think it will do. I think this will give the whole family. It's not going to be the high adrenaline thrill ride that the people are looking for from Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, but this is your classic Disney family ride, I think, to a perfection here. They've given something just about for everybody. The whole, from the youngest children up to mum and dad, they can take part, they can be involved, and I think they can enjoy a ride where they all get on together, and then they all compare scores afterwards and think, wow, that was fun, let's do it again. And that's what you want to hear and see from a Disney ride.
Exactly, and it goes back to Walt Disney's original vision of having a place where he can go with his kids and enjoy together. This ride really typifies that because I want to go as somewhat of an adult and enjoy it, but I know that my kids will just lose their minds on this ride.
I think that's absolutely right, and in a way it moves on from the Seas with Nemo, the Living Sea, because that we feel was another really good family ride, and they seem to have adapted that idea and brought it even more to life with this. Obviously this is an interactive ride now, so you really do feel you're involved on a family level, but you're engaged with the ride as well, which I would think is absolutely what they want to do.
Now, Susan Veness is the woman behind the man and the co-author of the Brit's Guide. You also just got off the attraction itself. What were your opinions of it?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. And one thing I was thinking of as we were going through is we've got, a 9, 11, and 15-year-old, and you just really get a sense that even though they're at different ages and different abilities, they're really going to enjoy the attraction in their own way. So it's something that an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old and a 15-year-old and up can get a lot out of and still feel that they've had that great challenge. That was something that really struck me.
And I've even seen kids as young as 4, 5, 6, 7 coming off. Obviously the 3D wasn't an issue. Even if their score wasn't good, they just love the colors and the sights and the familiar characters. So I just think that the mix of technology and storytelling and those classic attractions, these classic games from our childhood, is just the right mix.
Yeah, there was a little boy behind us, and I was sort of eavesdropping as we were coming off the ride, and he was just chattering away about how much fun he was having, and so it was I mean, to me, that's the real pleasure of these attractions. As much as I enjoy them for myself, it's also really nice to hear the kids come off and hear how much.
Now, is this a reason for Brits and people across the pond to make their pilgrimage back to Walt Disney World if they haven't been here in a couple of years?
I would think so, definitely. I would think that anyone, thinking of coming back over here in the near future is going to be interested in this particular ride. It is something that, again, it gives you the interactivity which people now demand from the rides, but it does give you the repeat factor, because you can come over, it's not one of those things you're just going to do once, guaranteed. It will keep you here. You can do this 2 or 3 times in the course of a day and really feel like you've been entertained, on a large scale.
Well, great. Simon and Susan Veness, author of The Brit Guide to Walt Disney World in Orlando. Thank you very much, and I say we go ride again.
Oh, yeah, we'll be in the queue for that straight away.
That's all the time we have this week, but before I end the show, I did say that I was going to have an announcement, so here we go. I mentioned a while back that I had been working on another Walt Disney World related project for some time, and announced that in addition to the next CD in my audio guide to Walt Disney World series, which as you know is going to be Adventureland, I had been looking for a way to kind of get that bit of a Disney magic when I'm at home or work each and every day, and that's when the idea for my 2009 Page-A-Day calendar came from. It's filled with Walt Disney World secrets, fun facts, and fascinating history, along with quizzes, puzzles, and games, and it's not only a way to help you as a Disney fan learn something new, but it's also fun for any trivia lover who also enjoys Disney. It's a great way to count down to the days to your next Walt Disney World vacation. You can keep it on your desk or on your wall at home for that daily little bit of Disney magic. So I'm very happy to announce that the calendar will be available for order directly from DisneyWorldTrivia.com later on this week, and the calendars should begin shipping probably within 7 to 10 days, possibly earlier from then. So here's your chance to own it first before it's available anywhere else, including online and regular bookstores. It's a great way to get magical memories, history, and trivia tidbits all year long. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Again, for more information, to see some cover and a sample page, or to order, you can go to DisneyWorldTrivia.com. Now, I hope you enjoyed our look at Toy Story Mania. I want to say a special thanks to the Walt Disney World Company for their assistance, as well as all the Imaginers and Rilous Carter for their efforts this past week. Thanks also to Glenn Whelan for his help in taking a look at the attraction. I'm going to post some more photos on the site this week, so please come back and check on those. Couple of quick reminders, if you come to DisneyWorldTrivia.com, you can check out the new video teaser for the audio guide to Main Street USA. I'm also working, like I said, on Adventureland now. Going to have a release date for that pretty soon. You can purchase Main Street USA both as a CD or instantly downloadable MP3 file. I also recently installed a new feature both on Disney World Trivia and the WDWRadio.com home pages, where you can get instant updates as I post them from my computer or phone. I try and update often so you can see where I might be in the parks, what I might be working on, or just some miscellaneous ramblings. You can look for the module on the right-hand side of the DisneyWorldTrivia.com homepage and on the WDWRadio.com homepage. Like I said, I'm going to try and update as often as possible, especially when I'm in the parks at Walt Disney World. You can also sign up to follow and get updates as they're posted. You'll find the link right there in the modules. If you want to be on the air, if you have a segment suggestion, a comment, a question, you can email me at lou@wdwradio.com, or you can call the voicemail anytime at 206-202-4WDW. That's 206-202-4939. On the show notes page at WDWRadio.com, you'll find more information about some of my recommended products and services from my partners like Mouse Fan Travel, who's my recommended travel provider specializing in Disney vacations, Owner's Locker, Orlando Fun Tickets, and more. You can also pick up your official WDWRadio.com t-shirts right on the site as well. In the next few weeks, I'm going to have more on the wonders of Walt Disney World. We're going to have some more trivia, exclusive interviews, travel planning tips, and so much more. I'm also going to have some more live audio from the parks, and I'm going to have more information as to how and when you can join me as I record some segments live from inside Walt Disney World. Listen for more details as I begin to plan my trip for Star Wars weekends in June. If you'd like to comment on the show, please post your feedback on the forums at DisneyWorldTrivia.com. You'll find a link there from the WDWRadio.com show notes page. Also, if you like the show, please review us on iTunes, and more importantly, please help spread the word and let others know about it. Thanks again for tuning in this week. Thanks to all my guests. Have a great week. See ya.
We're happy amigos, no matter where he goes. The 1, 2, and 3 goes. We're always together.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you?